This is a segment of JustRPG Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, check out the link in the video description below. Enjoy. So I got a good question for you. Speaking of elements of gaming and whatnot, if you could take the positive elements from multiple games, like, you know there's like games out there that like, oh, the gameplay sucks, but the story's so good, or man, the graphics and the music are so good, but I wish I had this. If you could take multiple elements from these games that have like one or two really good standout parts of them, just to make like one super game, and I don't mean like direct literally, like if you were to compare like Kingdom Hearts, like don't bring in the exact characters from Kingdom Hearts, but just the concept and like how they like styled it, how good it was in that game, you know, I guess almost on like a point system, like if you were to take like how good this like storyline was and how good this gameplay was and how good, you know, the like options and like uniqueness to this was from multiple games to make your one super game, what do you think you would put together?
Ooh, well, it's hard to pick that one super game, but I can think of some examples. For example, I really liked Dot Hack on PS2. I liked the story, I liked the atmosphere, I liked that fake MMO kind of deal, but the combat sucked, and you couldn't change your class, and there were all these cool classes and all this stuff. So I would take like that kind of theme from Dot Hack, and I would change the combat, maybe make it more like Kingdom Hearts-esque, since you mentioned it. Kingdom Hearts had a pretty good action combat system,
Yeah.
and I would kind of put that in Dot Hack with the same character, and then
That would be so sick.
yeah, and then add like some different options and character choices of changing classes or some kind of stat customization you might see in an MMO. I would kind of add like a little bit of it more MMO concepts to put to work with that MMO feel with a new battle system, because that battle system is garbage, you know, and that really held that game back.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
Man, I imagine that too, and I'm like, God, that'd be so good.
Yeah, it seems like a missed opportunity. Like they spent too much time doing something else, and you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, it kind of fell short. But that atmosphere was awesome. The theme was awesome. The story was good, but the combat sucked.
Well, I got one I think you might like. You like Tales of Symphonia, right? You're a
Yeah.
Tales of Symphonia fan. I think if you took that story, but if you gave it like the open world and like combat and item system of a Fallout, like Fallout 3, I think that'd be really interesting.
So I'm gonna
And-
have to disagree on that one. I thought the story needed some work. I thought it could have maybe, you know what I would do with in that same realm. I would take that general theme and I would make it a little more mature as it is in kind of Fallout. A little more mature.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like the combat though. I wouldn't change that combat system. I like the battle system. I think that was that game's strongest point. Was the
All
combat.
right, so imagine this. Imagine like for your character, you're first person, you're in that classroom, you know, and it's first person and Fallout. Your character sits up, you can look around everywhere, interact with anyone. Oh, your classmate, you don't like him? Just punch him in the face. You just punch him in the face. He might start a fight, you know.
Can I punch myself in the face? Because that's what I wanted to do in that game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Can't do that, unfortunately. But no, that is true. I guess, like, with how mature Fallout was and how, I guess, in, like, an adult, everyone's an adult. I guess would just be, like, more of, like, a Tales RPG type story. I picked Symphonia. Maybe there could have been a better choice. I was thinking of, like, the classroom and, like, just that open world and that view and everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could definitely work like a
JRPG like that. All right, so here's a better one then. Ni no Kuni. That was a really good story with his mother and stuff. Again, I think you need to make it more mature though for the first. Like
I'm not sure that game would work. I mean, maybe if he was first person, but Ni no Kuni's strength, I think, was the
combat.
No, I'd say it was the cuteness. I'd say it was that innocence.
I agree. I think the combat was good too, and then you have like your sprites that you control. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, that game was awesome. I really liked that game.
Familiars. Yeah, that was a really well designed game.
And that's the same guy who made all those Studio Ghibli movies.
I liked it.
Did the art for that.
I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, really? I'm sure you've seen Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke, Totoro. You've heard of them?
I haven't, nope.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he's a big... That's one of the biggest animation studios in Japan. The guy who ran that did the artwork for Ni no Kuni.
I've heard of them, I just haven't seen them.
Yeah, worth checking out.
One of my favorite things about that game was, for the boss fights, how they had the over-the-top names, which they also did in Ocarina of Time. My favorite adventure game was a game for Nintendo 64 called Mystic Ninja Gomen, starring Gomen.
Oh, I have both of those. I have both Gomen games. There's the open world one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mystical Ninja starring Gomen.
Yep, Mystical Ninja starring Gomen.
Yeah, that game is very good.
Oh, it's so good. And that's what it reminded me of, was like those boss fights. And I'm like, oh, yes! I remember this. And I was like so excited.
I always remember that there's a robot fight boss in that one, where you're like in the cockpit of a robot. And you have to, like, do all this stuff. That was a very interesting game, especially for N64. Very unique.
The robot's name was Impact.
Well, oh, okay.
He had, like, a song.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great game. And that was almost completely open world. They didn't tell you what to do, really. It was kind of like, just go. Do what you want.
No, you had to go to the fortune teller if you got lost.
Yeah, it was a cool game.
Yeah, you had to pay like 15 gold or 25 gold, and they would like give you a hint where you need to go. Yeah.
All right. How about this? How about something that they might actually be doing, or they are doing, is taking that open world theme and putting it in Zelda, and that's what Breath of the Wild is going to. Well, it looks like it's going to be. We don't know complete details, but
it was kind of already open world, though.
It was. You know what? I've actually seen something on this recently. It's more like the original Zeldas than a lot of the previous Zeldas are. For example, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, very linear. Even Ocarina of Time is pretty linear when you get down to it. But if you take the originals, and actually one of my favorite Zelda games is A Link Between Worlds or 3DS. No, not linear whatsoever. You can go to any dungeon you want in any order. It's all preference. In that one you could rent items, whichever one you choose, and then take it out to do that dungeon.
It's interesting, yeah.
But I think this Breath of the Wild also looks a little more mature. I think it kind of is that cross between maybe Skyrim and Zelda. That's what it looks like, at least.
Yeah.
It's very promising.
Well, it's not first person.
No, it's not first person, which I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. I prefer third person.
Yeah, I'm biased on that, of course. I love the first person.
It makes me a little nauseous, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, like Skyrim, for example, I couldn't do it in first person. I had to switch, or whichever Elder Scrolls game it was.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the first person. I kind of like the third person better.
Fair.
But I know what you mean. That style. But all right, what other game? Let me see.
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Like, it got my brain moving around. I'm just like thinking like my favorite aspects, like, and I was just thinking like Fallout and Skyrim, like that like style, but like how intense it was. I just feel like they lacked in like the story. Like, I didn't get emotionally attached to anything in that game ever.
See, I'm not a big fan of those games at all, to be honest. But I can see the appeal of, I'm going to say, their gimmicks, like their
the open world. Okay, here's one. This isn't an RPG though, but Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
The whole open world, you can go into like many buildings.
You really like this open world.
I do. I like it, but I like. Maybe you can't. Maybe because it's so non-linear. Maybe like what I enjoy is the linearness. Like maybe it takes the game. Like the linearness makes you emotionally attached to certain characters.
A lot of people talk as if linear is a bad thing, and I'm not sure that that's really the case. I think
it might not be.
That being linear kind of is kind of easier to do. I think it's much harder to make a good open world game. It's truly good in almost every aspect, but linear games are basically like you really are playing through a story. So if that's what you enjoy, if you enjoy that aspect of games, then linear is probably more your style.
Yeah, but I did enjoy like Fallout and Skyrim too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did enjoy them, and there's definitely like certain quests and stuff. I felt like not so much the main quest, but there was other quests where, you know, you get somewhat interested in some characters. Like, oh, what's the head wizard up to, and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think what is appealing the most, I think, if you were to make an open world game and give you like almost hints in the game, like one I like to use is like when you see that volcano in the open world in like Zelda Ocarina of Time, you want to go visit that, but you can't right away. And little stuff like that in games, like, oh, I'm looking forward to checking that out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or like some big demonic castle. Or when like you first get like the aircraft or the dragon you fly on, and you do that like open world on like world map type games. If you see that like, oh, up in the sky, there's like a big thing, a lightning bolt I can't pass through. What is that? You know? Little things make you like look forward to stuff. Like, I wonder what's gonna happen when I get there. Or like, why is that huge skull on the mountain? Just simple things like that. I think, while maintaining linearness, you know.
I think
it's like
I mention this almost every podcast, but I think you would love Xenoblade Chronicles X for Wii U. It's basically open world with a overarching story, but basically at some point you get like free reign pretty early in the game, and you can kind of just go out, do whatever you want, and you'll see like, oh, there's a mountain in that distance there. That looks cool. I want to be on top of that. You can always get up there. There's always a way to get up there, and there's something there for you. Like, you get rewarded for that exploration. I cannot stress this enough. That is a great game. That is one of the best RPGs I've played in years. The combat is wonderful. You know, everything's one. The only thing that might be a little weak is the dialogue. Well, not little weak. It definitely is weak. Is the dialogue. Dialogue is very generic. JRPG.
It's okay as long I'm okay with generic dialogue. It's not too cheesy, because like there's some games. Oh man, something Z, Hugen Soul Z.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not that familiar with that. I just remember the name.
It was very, very anime-ish with that cheesy, like overly sexual lines and stuff, and I don't get into that. Like, I can't take it serious. I get the humor, but if you're going to be humorous, like, be funny. You can be a funny RPG. Like, South Park proved that. Like, that was one of the most hilarious experiences of my life, and it was fun at the same time.
Oh,
but, like,
Timmy is hilarious.
Oh, so dude, you kill Kim Kardashian's fetus. What? That's hilarious. You know, spoiler alert if you haven't played the game. But
here's an example that I don't know the answer to, and I'm pretty sure that Toby doesn't know either. But Dragon Ball Z, they've experimented with many game types. Usually it's fighting, but they've experimented. They've made Attack of the Saiyans for DS, which one of my favorite games on handheld is a turn-based Dragon Ball Z game, and it's very fun. It's very cool. What was that?
I'm familiar with that game.
Oh, I beat that game recently. I love that game. But yeah, just turn-based with Dragon Ball Z characters thrown in. But there was something missing. They did need some tweaks. Now, they've also done kind of that MMO thing with now Xenoverse, and I think they're coming out with it. Just came out with Xenoverse 2 for PS4, PC, and Xbox One. That's basically you make your own DBZ character. You can choose your race. You could be Saiyan, you could be human, you could be Namekian, you could be Frieza race. You can be all these different things, and then you choose all your moves, like you did in, like, let's say, the Budokai games, where you choose your move sets. But then it's online, and you gain experience, and you level up.
Yeah, I played that one.
Yeah, I like that, but there's something missing. So what that is, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know what exactly DBZ needs, because if you think about it, you can't just make a straight-up RPG of Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't quite work. The fighting game does work, but they haven't been able to do it perfectly well. But I mean, I'm definitely a fanboy for DBZ, but I always wanted there to be that other option besides just fighting.
All right, I got your answer right here.
Okay.
Have you played Evoland?
No, but I've seen it.
And you haven't played it?
No, I have not played it.
All right, well, don't play the first one because it's awful, but play the second one. It's really good. Evoland 2 is really good. 100% worth the buy. I feel like you could make an RPG, and my inspiration of this comes from a Warcraft 3 Dragon Ball Z mod.
Okay.
Or custom map, I should say. And I think what you'd have to do is similar to like Suikoden 3, where you have like different perspectives of the characters. I think you could take a lead role and almost make like a hybrid battle system type, but take the Dynasty Warriors, kind of. Not so much hack and slash where all the enemies are super weak, but a similar battle system to that, and gradually power up your characters over time. And once they eventually get really strong, you have like Saiyan fights or whatever you want to call it, where you're like, you know, teleporting through the air. And that's similar to like boss fights would be similar to like the Budokai fights, you know?
I think a Dynasty Warriors Dragon Ball would be pretty cool, but
I do too, but like you can't just kill off thousands of enemies with nothing. Like that's not very fun. Or
it is in Dynasty Warriors sometimes. Sometimes some of those games aren't.
Sometimes it is, but I feel like you need to keep it like to the story. And I think if you could go
that's a challenge. I think there's too much source material for DBZ that it's too easy. Like you feel like you have to use it. So like you're always like, oh, are we playing through, you know, the Saiyan Saga, or are we playing through an alternative Saiyan Saga? But no matter what, you're playing through Saiyan Saga. So is that the way to go, or is the way to go to completely disassociate the story and make a new one?
No, I think you gotta stay to the story, man. I think you do.
I mean, I'm just saying because I've played pretty much all of them, every DBZ game for the most part, even the Super Famicom ones, and it's been done. I don't know if that's. I mean, I agree with you. It probably is the way to go, but there needs to be something changed with it.
Yeah, I think it needs to be like the RPG. Like that's what I think it should be. I mean.
Yeah, maybe that would work. But what RPG's like engine or system would work with that?
Well, it'd be something new if you're going to make a new game. So PS4, PC, stuff like that. But all right, I'm trying to think of. There's a game I remember where you would play. Okay, I know what it was. Okay, I've got it. It's the Yakuza system. In Yakuza 5, I believe it was. It was either. Was it 5? I believe it was Yakuza 5.
I haven't played those, so you'll have to enlighten.
Yeah, you have multiple different characters, and you can talk to them. You kind of play through different parts of their story and see how they all align in Yakuza, and I think that's the perfect system for DBZ. 100%. Just, like, literally make a Yakuza-style game. Contact the people who make those games, be like, hey, we have the rights to Dragon Ball Z. We want to make a game. You guys made a really good series with Yakuza. Let's make it happen. And I think you can make it happen.
I think it's worth a shot.
I think 100% it is. And I think there needs to be like items, and there needs to be like a currency and like rewards and power-up system and stuff like that. But don't overdo it with the items. I think Yakuza did it really good. They don't have a ton of items. They have like maybe 200 unique items, and that's perfect. You can like you find keys around, you can break in the lockers, and like you get random stuff. They have like 8 or 9 weapons that are like add-ons, like a golf club or pepper spray, stuff like that. Brass knuckles that like eventually break off. You can find an umbrella, which you can like block the rain out or use as a weapon. There's like just little random things that are like fun, because you get the like. It kind of gives you the like the side quest kind of to like go find certain items, but like you really don't need them for anything.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else come to mind with games?
Aside from the perfect answer, no. Nothing else comes to the top of my head.
All right. Well, I think we've exhausted this. Why don't we move on to the next one then?
All right.